Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'll be discussing some brief thoughts on episode 5 of the anime series, Dansai Bunri no Crime Edge. And this episode, I feel like there are some familiar themes that are carrying through from the previous episode to do with hints about, EY having to basically contemplate whether she wants to go on a pseudo date with Kiri or someone else, that kind of thing. But of course, leading up to that, we see that everyone is on a class trip. They're basically going to this orientation, special event, and every one of the juniors, which happens to be Kiri and their classmates and everything, basically they are meant to hike up the side of this mountain. It takes them 3 hours to get to the top where they're supposed to be. All the high schoolers got to ride up on buses. They were mocking them out the windows and stuff. And so you're already beginning with a sort of humorous, setting, something that we can all probably relate to in one way or another. And I was really reminded throughout the rest of this episode a feeling of movies like Friday the 13th or, Sleepaway Camp, horror movies where people are going out to a sort of campground area and being hunted. There are themes like that in this episode, but basically you have EY thinking about this, going stargazing for the first time, and she's really in a dilemma because, of course, she likes Kiri, and Kiri is the one who gave her her freedom. But does that necessarily equate to love between them? And of course, for Kiri, that would be an instant decision. He knows he is sort of head over heels for her. But I think it's also interesting the sort of love triangle aspect hinted at because we see Misumi, the girl with the salon. Basically she's coyly asking one of their mutual friends where Kiri is and what he's going to be doing. You see her get, blush faced and everything like that. So she may be interested in Kiri. I thought that was interesting. But basically, the meat and potatoes of this episode has to do with the next author who is seeking to take out the Hair Queen EY, and it's the class president, this dude Romeo, of course, perfectly named, being that his instead happens to be the VP, the vice president, right under him, and he has an almost, I don't know, sexual deviance to the way he, is manipulating people. He basically has like a horsewhip, and it's said that if he uses it on them, he can bend them to his will, which goes all the way back down the annals of history for this particular, killing good. It was said that it would be bending people, turning them into pigs, and that kind of thing. And we see that the instead really enjoys this. She basically takes EY out onto the water after EY interrupts her, almost looked like killing, some of the guys who were telling her that the Romeo guy's bad news and stuff, and she pushes her in the water. And then, of course, EY wakes up in the high schoolers' area, and the whole place is dead. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. Out come the zombified high schoolers as well as Kiri. That was a big time shock for me, seeing Kiri was actually mind controlled. Yet the crime edge itself, the scissor itself, seemed to be imbued with his soul to want to protect EY in some, means. And so, I mean, it just ramps up the tension in this episode. The music ramped up the tension, seeing EY trapped by the end of this episode. And then, of course, we have a little bit of a cliffhanger hint of what's to come because who shows up but Nakajima Seigi, the guy with the judgment book and everything like that. And I just thought a lot of the aspects in this episode, I was kind of ticked off that it was a cliffhanger, and we have to see how it all unfolds next episode, but there was a lot going on. So, I mean, you got to see how Kiri and Y get out of this, how they're going to best the authors, whether it's going to be Seigi that comes in and does it for them, and then who's going to go with who on this stargazing afterwards. So, I mean, I'm really enjoying this series, and I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this episode if you've seen it. Did it, raise your eyebrows the way it did for me? And otherwise, that'll be it for me. So, I'll catch you later. Peace.